We've seen a deer. We believe it's somewhere on the circuit, so just come in cautiously, please. Oh dear.
Formula One is back in Europe with a double header. First heading off to Austria, one of the best tracks of all time. When it comes to racing and in general, the track itself is just a lot of fun to watch. There have been so many moments that have happened along the years here in Austria, and it feels like every season it gives us a very good race. Back in 2001, Schumacher and Montoya had quite the tussle, fighting it out for the lead, aggressive moves, and both drivers being a bit questionable on their wheel-to-wheel racing. But then if you look 18 years later, you also have Verstappen and Leclerc going at it for the lead as well. With what was a very bold overtake by Max, still debated nowadays whether or not it should have been deemed a penalty or it was a fair overtake. We had Nico and Lewis come together as well, and then now more recently in 2024, Verstappen and Norris. So this track continues to provide every single time when the lead is up for grabs here in Austria. At some point we ended up having it twice in the season, and it was fun both times, being known as the Styrian GP and then the Austrian GP back when it was COVID 2020. We just had it as a double header. I really do believe that this track, while it does look simple, isn't the easiest to navigate for the drivers because tires degrade a lot here, and those braking zones, while there isn't many, are very difficult to engage in. Turn 3 seems like one of the most difficult corners to actually nail correctly, and then as you're going downhill into turn 4, that is pretty difficult to engage with as well. If we actually look at our preview here, we are going back to the C5 tires, so we're not going to see too many crazy strategies with the yellow tire like we have seen in the previous GPs. And if you look at tire stress, braking, lateral, downforce, and really anything on that list, it's pretty much a 3 all the way around. I would even say the teams might go for a 2 on downforce if we look at the rear wing. Because of the straights, it's a rear limited track. It's pretty much a 2-stop here every single time. Even with these cars going through all these regulations and really working on that tire wear, it's still going to be a 2-stop. It does flare up the rears very easily, especially in sector 2, but the traction coming out of 3 as well is difficult on the tires. There's going to be a lot to look forward to here. Plenty of headlines that are going to make its way here into Austria, especially with the last couple of GPs we had. Obviously, everybody's going to be looking at McLaren. Lando has been very good here for a very long period of time. It would shock me if he doesn't put in a decent result and get ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri. It's that type of track that he just loves, and it fits his driving style very well, even with a car that doesn't feel like he's very comfortable with. But at the same time, Charles has a great record here as well. Max has a great record here. It's a track that's liked by many drivers on the grid. Lewis Hamilton has a pretty decent record here as well. George, of course, won it last year with a little bit of luck. Can a lot of the teams from the midfield actually continue these point scoring? Sauber is looking really good. I have heard some rumors on possibly them actually bringing upgrades earlier than Silverstone. Not really sure, but just putting it out there. Aston Martin's been on a good run with Fernando Alonso. This track usually doesn't suit him very well, but we'll have to see. It's not been the greatest Aston Martin track throughout this regulation period. But all in all, the fun in Austria continues for 2025. And I would love to hear what you guys believe will be the predictions for this weekend in the Unchained race week. Plenty of prizes to be given away, so make sure you are competing. So many of you are doing an insane job and much better than I am. And the support around it truly means the world. So go ahead, go check it out. Put in your predictions for this race weekend. Everything's up and live. Let's see if you can beat me out. We're still continuing in the European leg, and each of the leagues themselves gives different prizes. So put them in. Let's see, and let's talk about my predictions for this race weekend. The Unchained driver here, there's so many selections that I can make and who I can throw up here, but for me, it's gonna be Charles Leclerc. I have put him up here a couple of times. I think he's done a very good job with the car that he's been given. In race pace, he's pretty much maximizing it. I do think here and there he makes a mistake or two, but that's only natural when the car that you're given isn't the best and you're trying to make something out of nothing. Looking here in Austria, it's just one of those tracks for him. Same like Lando Norris, I could have thrown him up here as well, but for me, the guy in the Ferrari, which should have some upgrades, hopefully we see a revitalized team in red. Now, my worst drive here, as always, this is a prediction, and it's tough to say who will have the worst drive. But for some reason, not really to add on to Canada, I believe Lance Stroll is going to struggle here in Austria. Now, that might seem like a cop-out, but it's been a pretty decent season so far. Canada was not great. He was very far behind on his teammates. Qualifying matters so much in 2025. That guy is not great at qualifying, and I don't believe it's going to be good here as well. The margins in Austria are very small because it's such a short lap. With that being said, I don't think he's got the pace. He just is behind in qualifying, and it's about what, 26, 27 times in a row that I think Fernando has outqualified him since the 2024 Hungarian GP. So yeah, I just think that trend is going to continue for Sir Lancelot. And my surprise team going here to Austria, it's going to be Ferrari. I have faith that this upgrade that they're bringing, if it's brought, knowing them, is going to change the car around. I will talk about it now with my worst and best teams, where I believe these teams all sit. Changed it up a little bit, waited a little bit further into the video to give you worst and best teams. Worst per usual goes first. And it's now much more difficult because this track, I'd love to throw up Haas into P10, but every year we do come here in Austria, they always put in some of their best performances. I think we're going to see that again. So for me, the 10th team that's been kind of showing in the last couple of GPs is the Alpine car. I don't think it's far off. You can pretty much change any of these teams between P10 to let's say P6. But Alpine is the car, rear limited. They struggled a bit in Canada. I believe the same will be done here in Austria. Now in P9, this is difficult as well. I still don't believe that Sauber car is as good as Nico is showing it to be. He's putting in very good performances. A little bit of luck has gone his way as well, but the performance is definitely there. Racing Bull struggled a lot in a rear limited track in Canada with a lot of straights. The car seems to be draggy. I don't think it's P9 draggy, so Sauber in P9 for me, and Racing Bulls in P8 kind of fighting it out with Aston Martin as well. It's weird to say that Haas is going to be ahead, but I think Haas and Williams could have the advantage coming here to Austria. Now looking at the best teams, it's pretty easy to say also McLaren as well, but that hasn't been the case in the last couple of GPs. Sometimes the Red Bull car is quicker, like we saw in Imola. Then in Canada, the Mercedes car was the fastest car. Whoever's ahead in qualifying, that's really where it matters. I don't think it's going to be obvious who's going to be the best here. Something is telling me that the Red Bull car, and when I say Red Bull car, I purely mean Max, because he's the guy making the most and actually extracting what is in that car. I think Red Bull is going to be the fastest car here in Austria. But closely following them is going to be McLaren. And I'm going to put up a tie for P3. Honestly, I think that just like we saw in Canada with it being so close amongst the top four, we will see that again here in Austria, hopefully even closer with Ferrari joining the battle, tied for P3, Merc, and Ferrari. But with that said, we can make my predictions on the Unchained Race Week for the top 5 here in Austria. Obviously, changing it to the Austrian GP weekend, we're going to go from 5 to 1. Yet again, just going off the dome, didn't make a list. I do know my winner, but everybody else is a little muddy for me because I did say it's going to be close, and I truly believe that. At the P5 position, you can honestly throw up anybody in here. I do believe it's going to be George. I have Leclerc as that surprise really for the weekend. I think the Ferrari car is going to do much better. So George is going to be P5. He's always sticking it up there. He's making the most out of the car. They have an upgrade as well. It's tough throwing him up here. I really could change him, and I kind of want to, but can you really rule out Max and the 2 McLarens? But I think it's going to be one of those weaker weekends for Oscar Piastri. I'm going to put him in P4 with Charles Percival Leclerc taking P3. It's going to be another podium. They have not been very many in 2025. It's one of those tracks for him. Oscar let me down in 2024, but he is proving me completely wrong. I had Lando as the guy that would have taken the lead amongst the McLaren guys, but Oscar is the better, and I still don't think we have seen full form. Some of you guys confused as to what I said, that we're not seeing the most extracted from the McLaren. I believe that, but I also don't think we're seeing the most extracted from the Australian driver. Give this guy another year or two, and I think he's pretty much going to be unbeatable to Lando. In the race, he's still struggling a little bit. And just like we saw in 2024, I think we're seeing a challenge for P2 and P1. And when a certain guy qualifies higher, stays in P1. It's very tough for Lando to actually overtake him. Yes, I do believe Max is going to extract the most out of the car. We're probably only going to see like a 1 or 2 second difference, but that's my thinking right now. I believe this is going to be the top 5. You have Verstappen, Lando, Charles, Oscar, and George. It's very, very up for debate. Maybe George can even hit P4 and Oscar P5. I'm going to keep it like this. This is my initial thought. That's what I'm sticking with. Make sure you drop yours as well. For fastest lap though, yet again, I think everybody can get it. I'm going to stick with Max. For fastest lap, Constructor's winner, based off of what I have, it's going to be McLaren, but that isn't always the case. More things are being worked on. Some other things will be added, just letting you know for the future. But as of right now, those are my predictions. Go drop yours. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a like and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. Thank you all for the support, and peace.